Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
A little bittersweet day around here. Mount Olympus project comes to an end, Pearl. Today, the Mount Olympus of Mount Olympus. The four sports gods, period. We've been going city by city. And now today is the final day. Good morning.
Yeah, I had trouble with this one because you got to narrow it to four sports gods.
Yes,
right.
That's
like
it.
Everybody knows the sports gods. The four is the problem.
I know. You just asked me that. Like, are we still just doing four? Like, there was a glimmer of hope.
I tried to expand to 12, and you shot me down.
Yeah, unlike college football, segue, that keeps expanding, and that's where we start this morning. We'll do Mount Olympus and Mount Olympus around 8 o'clock Eastern time if you just want to check your calendars for that. But let's start with college football because Deion Sanders was front and center yesterday at Big 12 Media Days. It's talking season, Pearl. But here's my biggest question for you about Deion. Before we get into like Colorado's chances this year or any of that, my question is, how long is he for this job? And one reason is just because of his health. And we don't know, and he was very protective yesterday. It's his body. That's totally fine. But he was not forthcoming about what has kept him away from Colorado this entire offseason. And not him, but the athletic director of Colorado said they expect him back on campus in 1 or 2 weeks. So health is obviously a concern, even if we don't know what it is.
Well, I'll play counter to that. He's not going anywhere else. So at least, he said so many funny things. Like he hasn't met some of the freshmen or like doesn't know who they are, basically. Yeah. So he's only half engaged as a coach because of his health. He's not going to the NFL to coach his son. Like if he can't rev it up to come back to Colorado, and he couldn't even be sniffed at as a Cowboys coach this offseason, the NFL, I think, is off the table because of the health situation. So maybe he has to settle for Colorado, and that actually keeps him there, ironically. That's my best thought on if you're Colorado, you just sign an extension, I know. Yeah. You might keep Deion because where's Deion going?
Yeah, well, I also think the NFL, quite frankly, I was going to talk about this with regards to something else, but I'll bring it up here. I think the NFL is off the table maybe the moment Shedeur kept sliding. But I was going to bring Shedeur's slide up for another reason that I think would impact Colorado. And I say that because he said he would only want to go somewhere where he would coach his son. Well, Shedeur's not really calling his shot anymore when it comes to his NFL career. That may change. He may either become the Browns' starting quarterback or he'll go somewhere else and become the starting quarterback. And Shedeur could get his stock back up or eventually be a powerful starting quarterback in the league. But that's not where he is now. So if Deion wanted to coach Shedeur, you might be waiting a while to see if Shedeur actually makes it in the NFL.
Has there ever been a situation where a quarterback got his dad hired?
Well, this
coach?
is unique.
Almost all of them were raised by coaches, like half the quarterbacks. That's not good. First of all, I think we were out of our mind even before Shedeur slid to think that was going to happen. But to be honest, though, he could have gotten that Cowboys job. Like, why not? It's Brian Schottenheimer, for God's sakes. I mean, that was not exactly the sexiest hire, and there was no traction at all. So I hear you. I do agree with that Shedeur thing. I thought that too. I'm like, well, maybe Shedeur will call shots here. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, no, that we're gonna have to wait a little bit.
But
even if Shedeur's gonna get his stock up,
Shedeur was the number one pick. Like this is the NFL. Like they're not going to pair Shedeur and Deion.
No, but again, everything in this arena has got to been unique, right? Like that Deion would be coaching his son for this long, that they'd make this move from Jackson State to Colorado, and then whatever the pros. Okay, so we're talking about Deion's future. I have another thing that I'm on the lookout here about Deion with Colorado. It has nothing to do with his health. It has everything to do with coaching in this day and age, which I think Deion, for being, is Deion 60?
He's 57.
Is he 57? Okay. But he has got a good, as a coach, a college coach, you have to kind of have a handle on not just young people today, but obviously the college football landscape keeps changing and changing. I think he may be stepping into something that could backfire on him pretty spectacularly. And that is the quarterback situation that's going on right now at Colorado. Now, you may look at it and say, this is a great problem to have. I love people like, this is a great problem to have. Problems are problems, people. And when you have Caden Salter and you also have Juju Lewis, and I should mention, Juju Lewis is the phenom freshman, right? Yeah. He's coming straight out of high school. He's a true freshman. He doesn't turn 18 until September.
Yeah, he reclassified. He's a young freshman. So I don't understand. I'm very curious where you're going because that doesn't seem like a problem at all.
Follow me down here. So he commits first.
And let's not forget Shiloh.
We'll get to Shiloh. We would never forget Shiloh. But let's talk about Juju Lewis, who's actually was a five-star quarterback out of Georgia, and he committed to Deion first. Then in the portal, Colorado goes out to get Caden Salter, who was 4 years at Liberty. He's got 35 starts under his belt, and at one point led all of college football in touchdown passes. Like, he's got a ton of experience paired with this guy who has never started or barely has stepped on an NFL, a college campus. Pardon me. So here's Deion on why he brought both of those quarterbacks to Media Day, which is, let's say, unusual.
We brought both of them because I don't know which one is going to start.
My question to you is, would you be comfortable with a situation where both guys played?
Yeah. As long as they're doing their jobs and we winning, we definitely want to continue to develop Juju, but Caden is unbelievable. Caden's off the chain. He's been there, done that. He can get the job done. I wouldn't have brought him here if I didn't trust him. But Juju is coming on around the mountain when he comes. And I love him. I love what he brings to the table. I don't know how it's going to play out. As long as it plays out, we can't lose either way.
You can. The coming around the mountain thing is funny. But
that was a double victory. One that he called his quarterback, his official analysis, off the chain. That's a quarterback term. Yeah. And then coming around the mountain.
But I think Juju is coming on around the mountain when he comes.
Yeah. When he comes. Hee-haw.
This is not. Yeah. Okay. Convince me, Maggie, because I like everything I'm hearing.
Deion, you derailed at my whole
They got one guy who's off the chain and another guy's coming around the mountain. I do not see the quarterback problem here.
Maggie, focus. Don't let Deion distract you. No, here's the issue, Pearl. Here's the issue. You can play those kind of games when, A, it was the old school where guys had to sit out when they transferred, so you had a little more control over your players. And 2, you could play those kind of games if you are not recruiting in these kind of waters. You think that Juju Lewis, who yesterday, when he was at Media Day, handled himself very well. Again, the guy's 17 years old. You're throwing him to the wolves. Don't distract me. He's saying he was surprised when Salter was in the portal. He said they were transparent with me that they were going to bring somebody else in. But Juju Lewis, the freshman, said, I had no idea it was going to be somebody who was this experienced and who was like, the implication was he was a little blindsided by the level of competition. Now, listen, that's football. He might as well learn that earlier rather than later. But Pearl, this is a new era, and he's a 5-star. He may not, I'm not saying after the freshman year, maybe they'll navigate this, but he might not want to sit around for competition, right? Guys have unprecedented freedom, and Deion has never done a quarterback battle, not as a coach. And I don't know if he ever experienced one when he was playing because that wasn't his position, but Shedeur has been the hands-down quarterback as long as he's been coaching, going back to Shedeur being in high school or even before that. So these are unprecedented waters, and you're doing it at a very high level with other teams that are just looking to poach your guys at every possible step. You tick off Juju Lewis or his family or his people, and I'm not saying he's doing that. I'm just saying what you're setting yourself up for here, and he leaves, which he could leave anyway after this year, but if he leaves, then it's taking a hit. And by the way, Shedeur dropping in the draft no longer means that just being Deion Sanders as your coach means he's a kingmaker for quarterbacks. It could be for cornerbacks or for other skill position players. He's not the kingmaker when it comes to QBs because Shedeur sunk like a stone in one of the more embarrassing weekends that the Sanders family has probably ever experienced in their entire life. So this is my thought. Not just Deion's health, but how does he navigate what is, in my opinion, an extremely tricky quarterback situation that they're like leaning into, but that is not going to be easy, even for somebody as distinguished and as, I don't know, finger on the pulse, I guess, as Deion is.
Juju is coming on around the mountain when he comes.
But, I mean, first of all, Juju's 17. Like, there's how many programs, like major programs, is he starting for? All the other 5-stars sit, right? I mean, except for Dylan Raiola, I think pretty much you go down the list. They all, even the generational ones sit. Trevor Lawrence sat. Caleb Williams sat. Obviously, Julian Sayin sat. I'm thinking most guys sit. Like, fine.
Right,
I mean,
but
why?
He's not even saying, we're not sure if he's going to sit, and we're not sure if you're in this sort of limbo. It's how you handle it.
I think he's more like if he'd gone to Ohio State, like he would definitely not see the field. So I think he has a chance at Colorado. I'm not so worried about that. If you're going to lose him at 17, 18, then you probably weren't going to keep him anyway. I just think the fact that like that's really young to play and contribute at this level, it's very rare to make an impact, right? So all the other great quarterbacks, you were shocked that Arch Manning sat there for 2 years, but that seems to be that's more the trend to me. I mean, come on, how is I'm very hopeful this kid is good, but 17, what's he going to do?
Well, that's the thing, Pearl. You're saying all these other 5 stars have sat.
Yeah,
it'd be easy enough to just say he's going to sit, and they're not doing that.
Well, it's Colorado, though. They're a Big 12 school. If he was in the SEC, then it would be no doubt he sat. So I think a platoon is fine. Tim Tebow, one of the greatest college quarterbacks ever, he platooned or came in occasionally his freshman year. Usually,
that
sometimes
was a
it
national
doesn't.
Championship team. This is not that.
I think, but that's the thing. Well, I think actually Juju Lewis is going to buy Deion time if he wanted. Say they're bad this year. And everyone's like, well, maybe this is, they could be like, well, Lewis is young and developing. So isn't he a lifeline? I mean, J.J. McCarthy was a lifeline for Harbaugh. They definitely would have fired him if he didn't have that 5-star in his pocket. I just think this is good to have a young kid like right there.
If you can keep him.
Well, I mean,
there's a lot between here and there.
Arch
what I'm
didn't
saying.
leave. He moved around a lot. I think he's staying like, he'll probably stay like the 5-stars do stay. I don't think it's a guarantee he's going to leave because they're aware of what's going on. They're very young players.
I'm just saying there's a lot that can happen between here and there. And for as experienced as Deion is, he said yesterday, I've seen every part of this as a player, as a parent, as a coach. He understands it, but never done a quarterback battle. That's the one thing, as far as I can tell from coaching, because Shedeur was always going to be that guy no matter what. So now you got something, it's a little bit of a high wire act. Will you give me that?
No, I do not think so. I think, look, if you're the coach of Colorado, how would you approach this quarterback situation? You have to throw everything in the kitchen wall here, right? I mean, you don't know that Caden Salter is going to translate to this level, and you don't know if a 17-year-old kid is going to transfer. Going to translate. Like, of course he's platooning these guys. Like, I don't. It seems like a very logical path to me.
I know, but you just said before 5-star sit, so not, of course, he's platooning these guys. It's actually the opposite. Usually they don't see the field. You're right.
Well, I think, though, if say, Arch Manning didn't have a really good quarterback behind him, he would have gotten thrown in. I'm not sure exactly how. It is weird that he brought them both. Like, do you think he should name a starter, or do you think he should not have brought Caden Salter in and just gone with Juju Lewis?
I'm saying I'm keeping an eye on it.
No, I think I'm
keeping an eye on it because to play both guys who are so different, not just only different, in terms of where they are in their lives and everything like that, but also where they are, what type of quarterbacks they are. The freshman is actually more of a drop back sort of classic quarterback, and the super senior, if you will, is the one who's more of the dual threat running quarterback. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying Deion's never done it before, and you're going to have vultures who are waiting to pounce on you. This is a guy who, the freshman, decommitted from USC and Lincoln Riley, kind of is the kingmaker for quarterbacks, even though the team hasn't been awesome, and decided to come with Deion.
Weren't you impressed this offseason that Deion nailed the 5-star quarterback recruit and got what a lot of people, the guy everybody wanted out of the transfer portal? I was actually surprised. I thought, well, Deion can only get his son Shedeur to play for him. How is he going to sustain himself as a college coach? Then he seemed to do pretty good this offseason.
So I was also impressed. And, the money has a little to do with it, but the money's going to be there for guys like this, quarterbacks like this. But then Shedeur dropped. And I'm not saying that, that means Deion can't coach a quarterback or that Shedeur's not going to be a good player or any of that stuff. But the Shedeur dropping in the draft, I felt like was a bad reflection on Shedeur and also on Deion. It's impossible, I think, not to look at it that way. And how they respond from this, I think, is going to be really interesting. Travis Hunter, we knew Travis won the Heisman. We knew he was going to be in high demand. The Shedeur thing got botched.
I'm just different.
But you could say, well, listen, Colorado went 9-4 with a 5th-round quarterback.
Okay, fine. Then maybe Deion's the greatest coach of all time if that's when you're applying. Yeah. But I'm just saying, I think that it took a little of the shine away, because even if you think that Deion got railroaded here or that people were being against Deion or racist,
probably.
whatever you think.
Not racist,
not
but
the whole league.
They didn't want Deion in the building.
Okay.
They don't want the ultimate sports dad, which Deion is. I mean, ask any coach, the last thing they want is a parent.
I guess the question is, as Deion, who had his son there as the prize, does he actually even show that he has a system that develops quarterbacks in a way that makes other high and 5-star QBs want to come there. He
A
did
system.
for now, but let's see how it goes.
He has never had a quarterback who wasn't his genetic offspring. There's no system here. We don't have enough of a pattern to decide. Honestly, I was shocked that he got new quarterbacks. I thought I was more in the camp that once Shador leaves, Deion's going to lose all interest and have some scrub play quarterback. I'm wildly impressed that he got real quarterbacks to come to his school. This guy's has he ever coached a quarterback other than Shador at a high level? Because I know he was at NFL Network. Then he left to go to Jackson State. So he's never had any other quarterback. I'm looking at this as glass half full for the Deion project. I mean,
Juju is coming on around the mountain when he comes.
Before Deion, can you imagine a 5-star quarterback going to Colorado? Do you know how many quarterbacks have been drafted out of Colorado? Like,
I'm sorry.
two ever.
I'm distracted by the chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, where Daly is saying, according to Prime, the offensive line is zippity doo zippity. Hey. How many cliches did Deion drop yesterday? Coming around the mountain.
Caden's off the chain.
All right, Perloff, a little more glass half full on the Colorado quarterback situation. Yeah. As usual, I'm a little more skeptical on everything.
Can you imagine 3 years ago having this conversation? You know, Colorado got the best recruit in high school, but should they play him or should they go with one of the top 3 transfers? 4 years ago, they were like, well, this guy's a 3-star. He seems to be interested in lacrosse, but we're going to take him anyway.
Imagine 6 years ago saying Deion Sanders is the head coach of Colorado. That'd be crazy.
Well,
life comes at you fast.
Yeah. But like, you have to understand what you're working with here in Boulder, Maggie. And again, I just say, well, who would you bring? Who would you have brought to Big 12 Media Day?
They brought the kicker, which I thought was also a good touch.
Kickers are people too.
I know. Stop sending hate mail to
Manny would have brought the punter.
Damn right I would have. Hey, you know what? A 50-plus yard field goal, even though it's a layup nowadays, it still gets me going.
Yeah. I was actually, the quarterback show, which, we're obsessed with on Netflix. I couldn't watch any episodes yesterday. I was super bummed. Oh. But, man, that kicker from Atlanta, Koo.
Young Wei
Koo. Man, did he save their bacon a lot last year. Anyway.
Best kicker of all time, right? It's kind of 1 or 2.
Well, Justin Tucker's probably no longer going to be
Koo
kicking.
passed him, I think. Most accurate kicker in the history of NFL. He was for a while.
That dude's amazing. Anyway, let's not get distracted. Let's talk about Deion and these 2 quarterbacks, and how do you think this is going to go? Also, is he going to be long for Colorado now that Shador and Travis Hunter have both moved on? Okay, lots to do. Again, today, the final day of the Mount Olympus project. We also have major changes coming to America's pastime, possibly. Do that next.
Caden's off the chain.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Why was that? What?
I don't. There was a.
Why would that be a factor?
Yeah.
Why would I have interest in doing what God blessed me to do? That don't make sense whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, just walk.
Don't forget, you know I had 2 sons, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Shallow.
Yeah. What about Shallow?
Yeah. Shallow's off. Trying to make the league
So
as
they
well.
forgot about just without Shador. But what about Shallow? What about Junior? Bucky's still with me. Junior's still with me.
I know he's with you.
Yeah.
I know.
It's gonna be a good day with Maggie and Perloff.
So, welcome back to the show. Deion was talking about his 2 sons, Shiloh and Shador, and then mentions his 3rd son. If you're Deion Jr., how do you feel about hearing I have 2 sons? Don't forget about Shiloh. I mean,
there's a 3rd one.
That's kind of a blow.
Everything.
That's kind of a blow when your dad says, I got 2 sons, and you're the 3rd son just standing there.
Holding the camera.
Yeah. That's not a great feeling if I'm a Deion Sanders Jr.
Don't forget, I had 2 sons, right?
Whoops.
Amazing. And don't you ever dare forget about Shiloh, Maggie. You have some more Deion sound. Deion was great yesterday.
Yeah.
What about Shiloh?
Doesn't seem super engaged with his current roster. That's okay. I'm all for it.
Definitely the first coach I've ever heard who acknowledged he doesn't know a lot of the guys' names, so has to coach just by nickname only. I'm sure that happens all the time, but I generally don't think coaches admit it. But listen, Deion's operating on a different plane.
Well, college rosters are big. You might have 120 guys there. So I can understand knowing some numbers, but it doesn't seem like he has the slightest idea what's going on because he's been sick, which I feel really bad about. Back to your original point, though, I think that's going to help Colorado keep him if they want to. He's not going to the NFL. If he can't generate the help, because he's missed multiple Big 12 media days with similar physical problems. If he can't do this, how's he going to do the NFL? if you're an owner, why would you want to bring that in house?
Yeah, I think the NFL stuff got really backburnered after Shador
Yeah.
dropped to the fifth round.
Yeah, totally.
If Shador had been Jackson Dart and like the Giants traded back into the first round to get him, or he just went top 5 like in a traditional kind of way, I'd say the Deion NFL stuff is really alive because wow, look at Shador's this thing and everyone sees this tremendous talent. He kept slipping and slipping and slipping. I think the NFL sent a little bit of a message to Deion, which I don't know how they're receiving it. I don't know if he got asked that at media day. It was all about the forward stuff. I don't know if anyone asked him about Shador slipping.
Well, one thing too about, listen, he's good friends with the Jones family. He lives in this small town that the Jones basically owns. And they reportedly did talk a little bit, but he wasn't even a candidate for the Cowboys opening. They hired Brian Schottenheimer. If he can't get that job, like what job is he going to get?
Well,
what about Junior?
Let's also acknowledge the Cowboys part of that. Like, we don't know if it was a good idea to hire Brian Schottenheimer. They basically just hired whoever was in the building. Yeah,
they like hiring like the Dave Campos, Jason Garrett's. They like a certain kind of coach that Jerry's very comfortable with. But I thought he knows Deion really well. That kind of would have made sense. Jerry will I've heard only hire people he knows and is comfortable with, and he loves Deion. So anyway, but I back to your original point, right? If Shador goes to the fifth round like this. The NFL, we haven't even heard a whisper of that. And Colorado's not going to be great this year, right? Can we agree on that?
Their win total's 6.5.
Yeah.
But the thing about the Big 12, and they're saying this, and everyone knows this about the Big 12. Like, good luck picking who's going to win that conference. Colorado was right there last year, granted, with 2.
Yes, with the Heisman Trophy winner.
I get it, but. Who's to say? Arizona State was picked 16th, and if it wasn't for a 4th and 14, the miracle, fourth down conversion by Quinn Ewers in double overtime, Arizona State may have beaten Texas in the playoffs. So who knows who's going to win the Big 12? Good luck if you can figure that out.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like a lot of people are picking the Buffs to get out of there.
But again, who's to say?
I'm going to say that they're not going to win the Big 12. And you can cut that.
Who do you have?
Well,
who do you like? Kansas State?
Listen, I did a deep dive on the Big 12 schedules today. Nobody plays anybody. That is one advantage. The entire conference is going to come in like they play nobody out of conference. I guess Brett Yormark was saying that's because nobody will schedule them. But so Kansas State has a quarterback. Arizona State has a quarterback. At least we know those guys. So I would go to those top 2 names. But you're right. It has been topsy-turvy, right, the Big 12. But I feel like those 2 teams have a lot of advantages with Avery Johnson and obviously Sam Levitt and Arizona State. I'll pick Arizona State. I don't know. And I feel pretty good about that.
On a limb.
Well, I'm just saying, you said that there's no favorite. I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
I think I feel good about those 2 programs.
Let's get to Bogusch.
Yeah.
We have more from Big 12. We got more from Deion in moments, but Bogusch got the latest headlines.
Margaret, Andrew, your headlines are sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com.
Don't forget, I had 2 sons.
Apparently, Devin Booker doesn't mind the dysfunction in Phoenix. The All-Star guard signing a record-setting 2-year extension. It's reportedly worth $145 million, $72.5 million annually. That's the record for an extension, surpassing the one SGA signed just last week. That one averages $71.25 million. Altogether now, Booker signed for the next 5 years with a price tag of $316 million.
Sheesh. We keep wondering, why is he sticking around Phoenix? Well,
there you go.
Does anyone have a problem with this? Like, this seems a little ridiculous. I know, like, I get it. Like,
someone can afford to sign the check, so.
Well, obviously, the players get, 49% of the revenue, so they have this massive revenue pool. They got to give it to somebody. But, like, honestly, like, how do you relate to an NBA player who's making $75 million a year? These numbers are getting... they're getting a little gaudy. Can we all admit that?
But, like, are you going to relate to a guy making $10 million a year? Like, I don't
no.
know.
And they've been gaudy, too.
I don't know. It's just like, these numbers are a little... I would almost say embarrassing.
For Devin Booker?
It's amazing for Devin Booker.
Yeah, just the number, like the salaries around, is this guy really worth the GDP of some team that ties U.S. soccer 1-1? Like, I don't know. These numbers, some of these numbers feel a little excessive. I'm sorry, for all sports, not just baseball too. Like, the baseball is crazy.
No, he's right. It is stupid money, but it's not exactly... Al Farouk Aminu, who's getting paid $72.5 million.
Yeah, right. Like, and where do you want the money going? To your point, like back to the owners?
I don't know. It just feels a little weird.
Why is he catching shrapnel this morning?
Well, I mean, listen, no disrespect to Al Farouk Aminu. He was an NBA player, but I mean, he's not exactly at Devin Booker's level. That's all
He
I'm
made
saying.
the NBA.
Al Farouk Aminu? How else would I know
that
his
guy.
name?
Right. I thought you were talking about the guy who hit the shot for Iowa.
Ali Farouk Manesh?
No.
Yeah, for Northern Iowa.
He's now the head coach at
That sounds like, wow,
Colorado
that
State.
guy made the pros. Way to go.
No.
P.S. Former Suns GM James Jones is the NBA's new executive VP of basketball operations. That's the job Joe Dumars had before taking over the Pelicans front office. Here's an odd one. The Atlanta Braves had lost 13 straight games in California until last night.
A's have gone 10-18 in his appearances this year. 1-1 is absolutely annihilated. Deep left field and out of sight. Ronald Acuna just sent one out of the county. And it's 1-0 Braves here in the top of the first inning.
That's Ben Ingram on Braves radio. First of two solo homers from Ronald Acuna Jr., fueling a 9-2 Braves win over the A's in Sacramento.
What about Junior?
Arizona, an 8-2 win in San Diego. The Angels outscored the Rangers 11-8. 2 homers, 3 RBI from Mike Trout.
Nice.
And don't let the Guardians get hot.
Now the kick and delivery. And he sends one in the air to deep left. This ball's got a chance. It is gone! And for the third consecutive ball game, Jose Ramirez has hit a home run.
And for the
Down goes Anderson!
third consecutive day in Houston, Cleveland won 4-2 last night, a 3-game sweep following a 10-game losing streak for the Guardians.
Down goes Anderson!
Wait, that was Jose Ramirez? Isn't he also not playing in the All-Star game?
He is out of the All-Star game, yes.
But he's playing regular games?
Yes, he is out for general maintenance.
That sucks. Come on.
Well, not for the Guardians.
No, but that's ridiculous. Like, we do this thing in the NBA about load management. The guy's literally playing in baseball games. And he's like, well, All-Star game, I'm not playing.
I know, but wouldn't you rather have it that way than the other side? Like Carmelo Anthony didn't play basketball for like 2 months, but came back for the All-Star game. It's an exhibition.
Yeah, but like,
it's better to actually
be
All-Star contributing towards the standings.
We can't have it both ways because the All-Star game is supposed to be for the fans, and you voted guys in because you want to see them play. Fans wanted to see Jose Ramirez play. He's literally playing in baseball games, and then it's like All-Star game. Nah, I'm not playing.
I mean, he's also like, isn't he in like year 15?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of Jose. Because I've bet on him to win the home run derby like 6 years in a row, and I keep getting burned.
Yeah, I'm out on the All-Star game. I did not know he wasn't playing.
And you're done?
He's like, I mean, listen, you could take your Shohei, you could take your Ellie De La Cruz. Yeah, Maggie's point, like, you feel like I've been there, done that with Jose Ramirez.
I get EJ's point. You want to do it for the fans. I guess I can't get riled up too much about Jose Ramirez because he's contributing to a team.
If Shohei did this, would you?
Yeah, that Shohei. I want to see him. That's annoying.
Right. I think
I think he's there. He's going to be there.
Yeah, I think you have a good
start
point.
Rumors.
I think you have a good point, but maybe it's different for each player.
Yeah, Jose Ramirez and Shohei Ohtani, not exactly same on the star scale.
I know, but I mean, I'm talking about principle. The principle of the matter. This was Barry Bonds. Or this was any player that was voted to the All-Star game is playing in actual games. I couldn't believe I heard that was Jose Ramirez. I was like, wait a minute. I just read a headline that he just got replaced for the All-Star game. Why is he playing?
And he's not even, they didn't even give a body part.
It's not even an injury. Yeah, they didn't say what injury he has.
Right, like Jeremy Pena, the Astros shortstop, is out because he's playing through a rib injury and he doesn't want to play in the All-Star game. And that I understand. Ramirez is just like he wants to focus on the second half.
Yeah, so maybe they can actually beat someone from the AL East this time.
Yeah,
I got to get in first.
I agree with
all.
Maggie. I find it annoying when guys come back to the All-Star game when they haven't played. KD was the last one to do that. Sorry if somebody, right? Like, that's not good. Like, that's the worst scenario, not playing for your team. I'm totally with Maggie on this one. It's all about the W.
I just imagine somewhere Jose Ramirez wakes up and like checks his social media and he's like opening his eyes for the first time. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting crushed for this. I'm getting crushed for playing for my team, but not going to the All-Star. I get your point, EJ.
He's so good at baseball.
I don't get your point. I totally disagree. I'm on the opposite side. Like, yeah, who cares? Like, you got to be there for your team.
But he is there for his team.
Yeah, right. That's good.
But like, he's playing in games that in theory would be much more likely for him to get hurt than an All-Star game.
Right, but if he's going to risk it, do it for your team, not the All-Star game.
Yeah.
I question the risk. I'll be honest. I hate to be the guy that questions health. I question the risk of an injury. If you're able to play against guys who are throwing 98 miles an hour and trying to take your head off in an actual baseball game, and in an All-Star game where you're going to take one at bat and play 2 innings of the field, you can't play.
I'm just glad I'm glad he's not doing the home run derby, so I don't have an opportunity to lose money betting on him to win it when he's not going to do it.
See, I'll be honest, like that would make more sense to me. Oh, I'm not going to do the home run derby because I don't want to. Like that's a tiring, exhausting thing to do. Like that, I understand. All-Star game, like you can't play 2 innings. Come on, man.
WNBA last night, the Sky downed the Wings 87-76. Angel Reese, 15 points, 11 rebounds. Messi scored twice as Inter Miami held off the New England Revolution 2-1. Messi is the first player in MLS history with 4 straight multi-goal games.
He's on fire right now.
And it is women's semifinals day at Wimbledon. Top-seeded Arina Sabalenka is first on center court, facing American Amanda Anisimova. That one starts shortly after 8:30 Eastern. Guys, back to you.
Pearl, you still obsessed?
No, I took an L yesterday.
I saw that.
Yeah, I thought Yannick Sinner's elbow was hurt. Then he killed my guy, Ben Shelton. Just killed him, which I kind of saw coming.
You have been very closely monitoring Ben Shelton, American up-and-coming star in tennis.
I'll take, now my interest is definitely Joker, because you want to see some attempt at history, the old, and like, whether you like him or not, you got to root for the old guy. So I'll take that as my new rooting interest. The women's side I find very confusing, to be totally honest. I don't really know. Like I needed Coco Gauff, and I needed people I know.
Well, Amanda Anisimova is American.
Yeah.
You can get behind her. Everybody, go USA. No?
Yeah, I don't know. I need forewarning. I need to prep for weeks. Yeah.
To get into
I need Bogusch to tell me who's good at
Anisimova's fan group or something? Yeah, military.
I don't know. The men's side feels annoying to me in the sense that it's going to be Alcaraz, right? Like, what are we even watching? I hate when it feels too inevitable.
Let's go to Bill. He's in Houston, wants to talk about Colorado quarterback situation and Deion Sanders. Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Doing great. How are y'all?
We're great. What's up?
You know, some college coaches, I just don't think they understand the portal. You know, it's lights on, nobody's home. But with Deion, I think he understands how to work the system. Juju, 17-year-old 5-star kid, but you don't know if that dog can hunt. So he's got to bring in a proven quantity like the kid from Liberty, because last thing he needs to be in Colorado is all hat, no cattle.
Let's keep this going. Coming around the mountain when they come. Bill, you're crushing it this morning. Love it. Thank you, Bill.
I also kind of agree with the principle. Like, it's a no-brainer. Of course you have to. Deion, I thought Deion came out and said that the entire sport is about the transfer portal a couple years ago. Am I forgetting that?
Well,
and then he signed this 5-star kid, which I found confusing.
So a couple things on that. Yes, and Juju Lewis said yesterday, the 17-year-old, the phenom, said yesterday, I knew they were going to bring in somebody. I didn't know it was going to be Caden Salter, who was highly touted, had played 4 years. He wasn't a starter his first year at Liberty, but
off the chain.
He's off the chain, as according to Deion. Sounds better when Deion says it to me. And he's got all this experience. He's like, well, I didn't know it was going to be like that stiff of a competition where it's actually, hey, I'm probably not starting.
Caden's off the chain.
When he announced his commitment, I mean, he did it on, I think, Pat McAfee's show. He said, like, I'm going there because they said I'm going to play early. Like, he went there assuming he was going to play as a freshman.
Right. And I think that's turned upside down now. So I'm wondering how Deion's going to navigate this whole thing.
Am I crazy, or like when I see these big numbers going to 18-year-old kids, I'm like, what is college football doing? Like that guy's going to leave. Like they're all going to leave. I felt desperate there. Like, what's the point of like spending so much energy on high school recruiting? I still don't. I know it's a combination, and EJ always tells me that, but it just feels like, I mean, come on. Do we really expect Juju Lewis to be a star at Colorado? Isn't he more likely that he ends up at Alabama or Ohio State or somewhere else?
Well, but you just said it, right? Yeah. Some of the 5 stars. Dylan Raiola stayed. Arch Manning has stayed. You know, Kate Klubnik has stayed at Clemson, although nobody leaves Clemson. Wow. They lock the door and then you can't ever go. But Deion said it yesterday. He said the model for him. So he came in and obviously did unprecedented roster turnover. And I didn't like the way they did it, where they were filming while he's telling guys, pack up your bags and hit the portal. Like, you don't have to publicly embarrass people. Like, their faces are on camera, and you're basically calling them dogs.
I want y'all to get ready.
He said
go ahead and jump in the portal.
Yeah. My baggage is Louis Vuitton, one of the great Deion lines. But he said now it's basically 40-40-20 is how he tries to do this. 40 grad, 40 portal, 20 high school is kind of what he said.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I think it's hard to build depth that way.
Yeah, depth. But we're talking about quarterback, though, which is, I mean, did Dylan Raiola, was he helped out by playing last year? And he's a much bigger recruit than Julian
Definitely.
Lewis.
I think so. He almost beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good experience.
Absolutely.
No?
He was pretty average, though. It was not a wildly productive
he's a
year. And I think
freshman.
there's massive questions about him coming into this
But
year,
if he has
too.
Florida, they would have definitely preferred to play Lagway than waste their time with Grant Mertz getting destroyed by Miami. That was a mistake to start Grant Mertz.
That was complicated, though. That was like Florida. There was a lot going on there. I just think that generally, yeah. So you're saying, but he didn't look good. Like that's the thing. Raiola, and by the way, Raiola's like hype has gone way down from where it was.
But
I mean,
aren't you expecting he's going to look better this year? And he's
I
got
think
all
people
that
don't
experience?
know. I think first of all, he's at Nebraska. No, I think there are a lot of question marks about him. I mean, are you seeing him on any Heisman list?
No, but I think that will change. I think the Heisman list right now, the Drew Aller Heisman list, I don't think that.
Why?
I think that guys like Raiola, if they show they can take a step forward, then yeah, I think that this is the same thing we talk about with rookies in the NFL. Is it good to play them that first year, get a little experience under their belt, and then you're expecting a big jump in year 2? Why wouldn't it be the same for college?
Well, I'm just saying, Dylan Raiola, I think, was higher on the Heisman odds last year than he is this year. So I could be wrong about that, but I just don't. I read a lot of mock drafts. Like he used to be the guaranteed number 1 pick the year he's coming out. Now he's definitely not.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. There were flashes.
There were some flaws last year, I think.
I mean, again, freshman. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Okay, coming up, are we going to see something that is going to revolutionize, maybe be the biggest revolution or biggest change in sports? Not hyperbole, guys. This is big, big stuff, and it could be coming around the mountain as he comes.
Juju is coming around the mountain when he comes.
Giddy up. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We get back to college football in just a moment. But, Pearl, I'm not sure if you saw this. When the All-Star game happens on Tuesday, they're going to be using the challenge system for automatic review. They call it ABS in baseball. They've been doing it in the minor leagues. So now they're going to do it for the All-Star game. And here's basically what it is in a nutshell. You as a player, the batter, the catcher, or the coach can challenge a ball or strike. All you have to do is tap the helmet. You let the umpire know. Now, you can't get any help from the dugout or any other players on the field, but pitcher, catcher, or batter, pitcher, catcher, batter, my bad. Pitcher, catcher, batter, they can all challenge a ball or strike call. They'll review it like Hawkeye for tennis. So if you see like on the lines calls, slow motion, ball kind of headed towards like the strike zone, or like in tennis, like towards any of the end lines, and it takes 2 seconds.
That's baseball.
Yeah.
And if you win the challenge, you keep the challenge. I'm right about that. There's 2 challenges. You win, you keep them. You lose them.
Right. And the players, I saw Tim Kirchner say the players don't want this, right? Because it's too much pressure on the players to see the strike zone.
Too much pressure on the players?
The report is it's not coming. It's been slowed down because the players don't like this system.
Well, they just don't have to challenge anything if they don't like it.
No, but they don't want the pressure of having a challenge. So that's like, that's the only thing I know about this. I know that the players are slowing it up because they don't want, think of how hard it is if you're up there at the plate to figure out if it's a ball or a strike.
Well, guys complain about it constantly.
Yeah.
You would all think they're experts on the strike zone the way that they moan and you know what.
Right. Kirchner said they always go back to the dugout and say, oh, the ump sees it way better than I do. And which makes sense. Think about in NFL, when a guy calls for a challenge or NBA, like how accurate are they?
Not very.
Yeah. So the players.
Because they're caught up in the moment.
Yeah. So I don't think this system will actually eventually take hold. I think they have to do it a different way. This challenge system will be a bit tricky, right? And also the limited number of challenges. So are you going to have to, you're a player, you're going to have to do the calculus of what the game situation is?
Well, see, that's my biggest thing, but I would imagine you're having a conversation before either the game or the at-bat with the manager to say, can I challenge here? Do I have a green? It's almost like swinging on a 3-0 pitch. Do I have a green light here or do I not? If you're Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani, I imagine the green light's always on. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want. challenge, don't challenge because you're the star of the team. I imagine this is the star system.
That's a tough one, though. Who was the coach in was it Tom Thibodeau who would use his challenges too early in NBA? No,
that was JB Bickerstaff.
Well, right. I thought in the playoffs, that's the worst. Like, what if it's like if you're 2 outs and you just don't want to strike out on your record, so you challenge it in the second inning, and it's like, oh man, we needed that challenge. That seems like a tough call.
Well, especially because the managers aren't the ones who are calling for the
That's
challenges.
what I mean, because you read that little detail. They can't look over the bench.
Right. The funniest part to me is going to be when it's the guy who just got called up 5 seconds ago who comes up to the majors and it's like, all of a sudden he's like pinch hitting or whatever, and he decides to call his shot because there's plenty of guys who are in the minors right now who get called to majors who probably think they're the next big thing. Like,
oh, yeah.
You got to have a little delusion. Baseball's a humbling sport. I get that. But you got to go up there and you have to have confidence at the plate like you belong. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, would every player protect their own stats? That's what I would do. I don't want to strike out. I would challenge.
And just a challenge.
Like you see, anytime an NBA guy turns the ball over, it's like, you got to they do the little finger spin
fouled,
motion. Yeah. Like, let's look it up. Or any call that they don't like. Yeah, especially if a guy's got like 4 or 5 fouls. The NFL, every receiver's like, challenge that bad boy to clearly like bounce 4 feet in front of him. Yeah, an NFL wide receiver calling for a challenge, be very dubious. So this system is going to be totally kind of hysterical.
I'm actually more interested about it from the pitcher side because I think they would have a better shot at really being able to benefit from this. Like, just for example, I was watching the Subway Series last week, and basically the umpires had a flight to catch.
That was awful.
On Sunday, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're a Yankee fan saying that it benefited your team. And it was so egregious. I was like, there's a dinner reservation or a flight that played into how insane the strike zone is right now in the bottom of the 9th inning. They were not giving the Mets any chance to get back. It's not about the Mets. I'm just saying the pitcher clearly would have been able to – they won the series anyway. But the pitcher clearly would have been able to see that. It's not the batters so much. I think it's the pitchers are the ones who are going to have a potential advantage.
And that was only over the weekend. Like 2 days ago, I follow a page on Twitter, Umpire Auditor, where he basically pulls out all of the Phil Cuzzy the other day at the Phillies game missed 20 calls. That's unacceptable, man. Where in any other profession can you mess up 20 times in 3 hours and still keep your job?
This one.
Any other pro sport where you're an official. I mean,
this is ridiculous. That union has.
Well, listen, Angel Hernandez has been allowed to roam the streets unfettered for years.
But that's why I'm interested in ABS, but to me, I'm looking past the ABS because when they finally get rid of the home plate umpire, that does become the biggest innovation in the history of sports, in my opinion, because what is foundational about baseball is balls and strikes being essentially a judgment call. There is no other sport where the main play that happens is purely but the judgment of a guy who can really kind of call balls and strikes however they want.
Sometimes pass interference feels that way, but I get what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, that has to happen though. Like, there has to be actual play where the defender's in the position. Like, there's always going to be a hitter. There's always going to be a pitcher throwing the ball. So that's always going to be the play. Every single play, we're always going to be at the mercy of a home plate umpire. Once you take that out of the game completely, that just changes the entire game. I mean, I watch baseball so much now, and I'm always yelling at the umpires. Yeah. I can't even think of a time where we're going to be in a situation where that no longer is part of your viewing experience.
I was wondering about this. Do you find that you complain more about the strike zone when you're watching it from home when they have the little box there or when they don't?
Yeah, the little box also kind of messed us up as a viewer.
Totally. I mean, umpires, I want to give them a little bit of credit here. It's egregious to miss 20 calls in a game. I was joking about that, but that is insane. But I almost feel bad sometimes for the umpires and especially the refs in football. Well, they have to make a snap judgment. We're at home looking at 1,400 replays on super slow-mo, every blade of grass. Yeah, well, so they all look bad.
But they're unionized, so they're the top of the top. They should be better.
No,
look at Manny with the anti-labor take here. Whoa. Didn't
Manny,
see that coming on
management?
Thursday.
Oof.
I'm a big union guy. Not with the umpires, though. Too strong of a union.
Oh, my God.
Amazing. Do you want robot umpires in baseball? 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Coming up, salary cap in college football. Would it make all the blue bloods disappear?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Deion Sanders was on one yesterday. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Not just about his quarterback situation, which is interesting, very interesting. He's got this freshman phenom, Juju Lewis, who's only 17 years old, doesn't turn 18 until September. And then he's also got this veteran, guy, super senior, going to be his 5th year in college, Caden Salter, who played at Liberty, was one of the darlings of the portal. He's got them both. He brought them both to Big 12 Media Days, which is a little unusual, and said yesterday probably has no idea who's going to be starting.
Yeah, I get it. I would imagine it has to be Caden Salter, right? Because you want to win as many games as possible. And just by definition, a 22-year-old is going to win you more games than a 17-year-old.
Oh, I was with you on that. I'm surprised they're actually keeping this competition thing alive. But at the same time, 5 stars who presumably had a lot of options and will have a lot of options in the future, you also want to keep them happy in this day and age, do you not?
Well, I mean, listen, Arch stayed. I think you do have some leeway. Julian saying, by the way, are we even sure he's going to start this year? And he's staying. So there's a history of guys being loyal to coaches. I'm surprised they got him in the first place. Because what if you're Julian Lewis, why would you go to Deion? Like, it's funny. Like, why wouldn't you go to Lincoln Riley or Dan Lanning or Kellen DeBoer or somebody who's had like proven success with quarterbacks?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because Juju Lewis was going to go to USC and then flip to go to Colorado. But here's the thing. You just mentioned, why are guys staying at a place like Texas or Ohio State? Because their Texas and Ohio State may have something to do with it. And that brings us to another clip from Deion from yesterday, where he was talking about college football, which is still kind of in this wild west as far as NIL is concerned, even though now you do have $20 million per athletic department that they can spend on every sport. So fans may want them to spend every last dollar on football, and a lot of them probably will. But in theory, according to the settlement, the lawsuit, it actually is for the whole athletic department. So here's Deion Sanders saying college football needs a salary cap.
I wish it was a cap. You know, like the top of the line player makes this, and if you're not that type of guy, you know you're not going to make that. That's what the NFL does. So the problem is you got a guy that's not that darn good, but he could go to another school and they give him $500,000, and you can't compete with that. That don't make sense.
Okay, more from Deion here saying the teams in college football that spent the most money, the type of advantage they're at.
All you have to do is look at the playoffs and see what those teams spent, and you understand darn near why they're in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to compete with somebody who's giving $25-30 million to a darn freshman class. Right. It's crazy. We're not complaining because all these coaches up here can coach their butts off and give them the right opportunity with the right players and play here and there, you'll be there. But it's what's going on right now don't make sense.
Right. And Deion saying that he's speaking for a lot of coaches. You know, he'll say it, and other coaches have said it, maybe not to say salary cap, but I have heard coaches saying, man, we wish that we just had a lot more clarity on all of the rules, not just transparency, but clarity, because you have that $20 million for the athletic departments, Pearl, but you also can still give out name, image, and likeness. That's still allowed.
No, you can't. You can't.
It just has to be passed through like a clearinghouse that tells you how legitimate that that name, image, and likeness contract is.
That's not giving out. Like this is so confusing. What did we spend all that time reading all those stories about House versus the NCAA? You can't. The school can't give out NIL.
No,
they can help you find a marketing deal,
right?
But it's supposed to be actual marketing. What Deion's talking about is just pay for play. And so was the House. Let me ask you this, Maggie. Was that whole House versus the NCAA, was that a gigantic waste of everybody's time? Were we all the ink that went into that ink, digital ink, as it were, was that just a joke? It sounds like it. Deion's like, well, these schools are spending $30 million. Well, we just had an actual legal settlement that you could only spend $20 million and then help guys arrange marketing deals. He's like, they're giving them $30 million. That sounds like pay for play.
Well, it does. But again, this is why I think Deion is asking for the transparency. But what he's really saying is the great teams are going to remain great. The blue bloods and the deep pockets and whoever has the most money is going to remain the teams that are at the cream of the crop. So the idea of parity, which we've been talking about, is, I guess, like a figment of our imagination, or not as, maybe not as, real as we think it would be when it says, everybody's got $20 million. Well, not really. Everyone's got $20 million from the settlement, but then on top of that, the rich schools can still throw their weight around.
Which is always going to be the case. But, I mean, there is way more parity. It used to be we had a 10-year period where it was Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, and what's the other school they made and they're basically Clemson. We had the same Final Four for about a decade. So obviously that has changed.
Or Ohio State. Yeah.
Yeah, and Ohio State, right. So basically we have way more parity now than we did 3 years ago. I mean, 20 times more.
Yeah.
So,
well, we also had 4 teams only making the college football playoff back then.
Yeah.
The standard was so insanely high. It's still insanely high, but now with 12 teams and eventually it's going to be 16. So you do get, teams that just have a shot.
We just had, I know, but we had Boise State and Arizona State you're right, it's partly the 12, and also the function of it. But there is a lot different teams. Like we just had Notre Dame in the final. When has Notre Dame sniffed the final in recent years since the way up to 4 teams?
Yeah, I mean, I watched them get destroyed by Alabama. Yeah, that Manti Te'o team. I guess, here's the bigger, maybe 30,000-foot view. The more we go forward on this, it feels like the more we are going to have, not just parity, but, teams at least having access, teams we never really thought before, having access to really high-level recruits. And you may have seen this, if you're a diehard sports fan, you're listening to the sound of my voice, that Texas Tech scored this big recruiting coup earlier this week where they signed this offensive lineman who is a 5-star, and they gave him $5 million. And it's like, wow, we're not used to Texas Tech swimming in these kind of waters generally. And that's going to happen and repeat itself all over the country. If that's true, and let's just say that continues to go down that road and the talent gets even more spread out than it already is compared to 10 years ago, 15 years ago, does it kill the Blue Bloods? Do they no longer hold that perch and that high standard? Is it going to be that really, you have to read it in history books? Manny, who doesn't think that any history happened before the year 2000.
That's right.
Is never going to understand, who cares about the lineage and legacy of Notre Dame or Ohio State or Michigan or USC or any of these ones, because that's just been taken out of the sport.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Blue Bloods are going to survive. I just think there's so many advantages. I mean, what did Texas Tech have to pay that kid compared to Texas, probably, right? I just think there's just so many reasons you would want to go to the Blue Bloods. Like Michigan, Ohio State, the brands. I think the brands endure despite this. The other thing, too, is it's very clear that nobody's going to take any of these rules seriously. So why wouldn't Alabama and Georgia and LSU and Ohio State, why wouldn't they just continue to outspend everybody? I mean, Deion, the salary cap is probably not. By the way, I don't think college football wants a salary cap because that means a union, and they've been fighting that tooth and nail. But regardless, I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be too hard for the Texas Tech. You're right. That's a great example to break through.
Yeah, I get very concerned. I know we have lots of years and generations of college football that will tell you who the Blue Bloods are, but I don't think they're safe. And I'll point to a school that I don't think, has a very proud history of football, but I don't know if people would have necessarily lumped them in with Blue Bloods, and that is a school like Oregon, who, to me, yes, great history.
Oh,
but
that's a blue blood.
Compared to Michigan and Notre Dame?
Yeah, but I mean, the last 15 years, Oregon's been awesome.
But 15 years is a blink of an eye. That's nothing for college football. This sport goes back to the 1800s. I think that you look at a team like Oregon. Now, granted, I can't use them as the prime example because they had Nike behind them, which is one of the biggest engines possible. But this is a school that we now think of as a blue blood that actually probably doesn't qualify by the dictionary definition of a blue blood. If you go to the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, you're seeing a lot more about Nebraska and about Michigan and about, Notre Dame, as I said, than you are about Oregon. But I consider them now a blue blood, and they've spent their way to becoming a blue blood. I think you're going to have more, it almost feels like, I want to say new money, even though that's termed as usually used as a put down, but I think that everything changes. And yeah, you may have the Notre Dames may endure, but you're going to have a whole bunch more teams that are going to feel like blue bloods because of the money.
I'm not as optimistic as that's going to happen. I mean, who were the 4 teams in the Final Four last year? Was Penn State, Texas, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Right, like I just feel like you're going to get a lot of that moving forward too.
Well, I mean, to be honest, Oregon was the number 1 team in the country,
Yeah, but
almost
Oregon's-
wire to wire, and
Right.
the fact they lost to Ohio State in the way they did was stunning.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Well, I consider Oregon kind of blue bloodish too. Yeah, I mean, listen, programs come and go. But that's always been the case. Like, for example, like EJ's Miami Hurricanes, there was nothing blue blood about them until they got Howard Schellenberger and became out of nowhere a blue blood. Like, it happens. Programs elevate and they go down, they come up.
I know, but think about it. I think what my definition of a blue blood is, you can even go through a down period and you are still given this like exalted status, if you will. Like Michigan, had some lean years. We all remember the Brady Hoke years, and you still was a premier program that could draw a huge audience. Alabama with Mike Shula or others, you can have down years, but they still have that drawing power, staying power. EJ's Miami Hurricanes. Even what's the one thing it's a cliche. Oh, the U is back. The U is back. Well, the U wasn't back for years and years, and we would still say the U is back. Same thing with Texas. When they were down, it was a Texas back. Texas back. That's to me the blue blood, right? Is the ones that can go through the down periods and it doesn't kill them.
Right, and I don't think those teams are going anywhere.
I think you're going to have more. That's what I'm saying.
Like, who do you think?
Well, I think Oregon is one of them now.
Yeah, I feel like right. Like I feel like Oregon fought their way into this. Thanks Chip Kelly, right? But I don't think it's going to be
thanks to Phil Knight.
Right. I don't think there's going to be a lot of Oregons. Like, there'll be like maybe one or two. I don't know. I'm looking like if you look at this year's rankings, it's all like Texas, Ohio State, Penn State. It feels. I know you can spend your way into this, but it's still there are a lot of advantages for these big programs.
What about like A&M, for example?
A&M's having a hard time.
I know, but
get into that blue blood conversation. They've been trying for 30 years.
They would be like the poster child of someone who maybe can't.
Yeah. No, it's not. That's what I mean. It's not. You're exactly. That's what you're saying.
Give Mike Elko another season, guys. I mean, come on.
I mean, well, listen. This has been going on since the year 1986. And Texas A&M is trying to buy their way into the blue blood.
887, but now it's legal.
They had Johnny Football, and that didn't even last.
Well, I mean, Johnny Football had a little to do with that too. No?
Right, he was fantastic, but anyway, it's hard to stick in this program. You're right, Oregon, but that's where you need a guy who reinvents the shoe industry to.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, that's all you're asking for. Like there aren't a lot of Phil Knights, Maggie. This is not a trend.
Well, but also I don't want us to get prisoner of the moment where you're looking at the rankings for 2025 and saying, "Wow, Penn State's at the top," which means nothing's changing in college football. That's not true either.
What's interesting, too, is when we brought it up yesterday, I pointed to college basketball, where we have seen teams that just aren't traditionally very good just decide to be good. Like, Miami basketball making the Final Four. Or like St. John's could be terrible for 20 years and then just decide, you know what? Oh, we're going to spend money now. All right, now we're a top 5 team. Like, that doesn't happen very often, but it's happening a lot more in college basketball because of NIL. So can that happen in college football where randomly, NC State says, you know what? We're going to be great now. And
I would argue one and done helps out with college though too, because because like the Jay Wright model, like if you have like average players who stick around for 5 years, you're going to win the title. Football, the guys have to stay anyway. So
well, do they? Well, they have to stay in college. They don't have to stay at your school though.
They don't have to stay at your school. Yeah, maybe, but I think it's a little easier to turn it around fast in college basketball. And by the way, a lot of kind of blue bloodish teams still are winning the titles, right? I mean, Baylor doesn't fit.
Baylor's not a blue blood.
Baylor does not fit, but it's been UConn, even Florida last year. But I don't think football is going to be easy to turn around. Well, I know.
You joke around with me about how I called 2025 the year of the drought buster, and I used Florida as an example. You said nobody was talking about Florida.
No. I know. But generally, though, I do think that it's easier in basketball to come out of nowhere. Football, it does seem like these blue bloods are sticky.
Let's go to the phones. 888-710-4ISN. We're asking, would a salary cap end the blue blood era? If everyone's got to spend the same, would it? George is in L.A. What's up, George?
Hey, good